Good afternoon.
Hi, Attorney.
Magandang hapon po, mga Mami, Sir Patrick, and Ronald.
Hi.
First question, attorney. Help us appreciate the process in the U.S., the judicial process. May sentencing, may decision na yung jury, ang hinihintay na lang yung sentensya ng judge.
Yes, pwede pa rin siyang tumakbo bilang presidente kahit convicted na siya, no? The U.S. Constitution lays out just 3 requirements for presidential candidates.
Very minimal.
Kailangan natural born citizen, kailangan at least 35 years old, and kailangan lang resident for at least 14 years, no, sa US. So kahit na convicted ka, pwede kang tumakbo. At dito sa kasong ito, hindi pa naman final yung conviction kasi may appeal pa rin.
So, attorney, si Mayor Guo hindi pwedeng tumakbo.
Pwede pa rin kasi wala pa naman siyang disqualification.
Yun. Attorney, no, when you say pwede pa rin tumakbo si Donald Trump, while the case is on appeal, that's what you're telling us. But not when the conviction is already final?
No, I'm saying kahit maging final ang
Kahit maging
conviction,
final, yeah.
pwede pa rin. Oo.
At what point can he not run?
Well, may mga implications, no? For example, kung ang sentensya sa kanya ay makukulong siya. Yan. So, maaaring ipasok yung isang disqualification sa kanilang constitution na hindi ka maaaring patakbuhin kung ikaw ay incarcerated for crimes like sedition or crimes against the state. Ang problema, wala pang implementing law.
Okay, but
Pero
that,
Attorney, tong felony na charge sa kanya, pwede siya, hindi ba? Kahit merong prison sentence na, pwede pa rin siya actually. Ang tanong ko, halimbawa na-convict na siya at merong ganong klaseng sentensya, can he continue serving as president? Halimbawa ma-elect siya pala, ma-elect, na hindi pa nga yun final yung tapos ang naging sentensya niya, imprisonment, anong kalalabasan mo?
Pwede ba niyang ipardon ang sarili niya, attorney?
No, he cannot.
Ang magandang question doon. No? Kung siya ay makonvict at may sentensyang pagkakulong at siya ay maging presidente, may school of thought na nagsasabing pwede siyang magpatawad, magpardon ng kanyang sarili. Kasi wala namang pagbabawal sa ilalim ng kanilang constitution. Except that may mga jurisprudence sa US Supreme Court na nagsasabing ang presidential pardon applies only to federal offenses.
Yes.
Itong parusa sa kanya ay kaso sa isang
State lang.
court. No? So state level lang. So wala pang desisyon ng Korte Suprema ng Amerika na pinapayagan ang pardon sa mga offenses sa state level.
Halimbawa, attorney, siya ay masentensyahan sa July 11 ng 4 years.
maximum, let's say.
Imprisonment.
Give him the maximum.
So, tapos sa November, paano siya kakampanya pag siya ay nakakulong? Theoretically,
Kahit mayroon ng sentensya sa July 11, hindi pa rin siya makukulong kasi may appeal process.
yes,
So
pero,
hindi pa rin final,
pero
hindi pa rin
theoretically,
makukulong hanggang matapos ang halalan.
yes, halimbawa, theoretically, matapos yung appeal process before the election. Theoretically, pwede ba yun
Okay.
na nakakulong ka tapos ikaw ay tumatakbo as president?
Yes, meron na nangyaring ganyang halimbawa. No? Noong 1920 presidential campaign, merong isang socialist leader, si Eugene Debs,
Eugene Debs.
na-convict at nakakulong sa isang federal prison sa Atlanta. 10 years yung sentensya niya. Pinayagan siyang makakampanya, no? Kahit siya ay nasa loob ng kulungan.
Parang Trillanes lang. Remember? Di ba, Tony?
Parang dati si Ninoy Aquino.
Oh, yeah. Right. Oo. Pero I think the difference is hindi walang conviction sa mga detention na yun. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so attorney, this is not the kind of conviction that is really going to knock out Trump from the election. So if we can hazard a political guess on what the implications or what the objective of this conviction is, what is it, no, attorney?
I think it's more of media mileage, a matter of changing perceptions, especially among Republicans na supporters ni Trump. Kasi may mga polls at surveys na nagsasabing hindi nila iboboto si Trump kahit Republican sila kung ito ay convicted felon.
Okay.
Meron pa siyang tatlong attorney, di ba? Isang subversion case,
3 cases.
isang election interference case, at isa yung mga classified document case. Kamusta yung mga kaso na yun?
Yung dalawa doon kasi ay suspended ang trial dahil ina-await yung mga legal questions na ipinail ni Trump na nasa Court of Appeals.
Yung immunity,
Yung isang
presidential
case,
immunity.
Oo. Correct. So hinihintay nila na ma-resolve muna yon ng Court of Appeals. Pero yung isang kaso niya, mukhang aandar na rin. No? Mukhang magkakaroon na rin ng trial at magkakaroon na rin ng conviction or acquittal during the campaign.
Okay, attorney, you mentioned a while ago, no, na one possible political implication in this is that Republicans may opt not to vote for somebody who's been convicted of felony. But could it also be the other way around? Because we're hearing from some people that the other view is that this conviction has in fact strengthened or delivered the elections already to Trump. Parang sympathy vote naman ang ano nila dito, ang reading nila. Could it work both ways?
Yes, that's a good point. Dahil ang strategy ni Trump mula noon hanggang ngayon is drumming up the base. Meaning, ang kampanya niya ay nakatarget lamang talaga sa mga alam niyang botante nila. At ang style niya ay nagpapaawa sa kanyang mga botante at ipinapakita na siya ay biktima ng persecution or political vendetta ng mga Democrats. So, maaari ngang magkaroon ng backlash at lalong tumibay ang suporta ng mga Republicans kay Trump.
Okay, Ronald, ikaw.
Attorney, he was
Yeah.
Attorney, he was convicted on 36 counts, no? 36 counts, maximum 4 years. Pero actually, ang mga hanggang maximum niyan, mga 20 years lang. Paano kung ibigay sa kanyang sentensya maximum? Anong options niya if he is elected as president?
Yeah, unang-una, Class E misdemeanor ang mga offenses na ito. Kaya kahit
Yes.
34 counts sa classification ng
Maximum.
US criminal statutes, ito ay mababaw na krimen. And based on the sentencing guidelines, kung first-time offender ka, at lalo na kung ikaw ay OG na, malabong patawan ng parusang pagkakulong.
Maximum.
But assuming na may sentensya ng incarceration or imprisonment, hindi ito lalagpas ng 4 years.
Yes.
Ito siya maximum sa sentencing guidelines for Class E felonies or yung misdemeanors.
Well, tungkol
I had a question a while ago,
Yeah,
Ronald,
sa
yes.
tanong mo, Patrick, no? Una ay yung latag kasi, lamang si Trump na mga 6 to 8 points kay Biden.
Based on surveys.
In most surveys, no? So medyo significant yung lamang. Pero itong conviction na ito, to some niches, to some sectors, magkakaroon ng pagbabago. Halimbawa, yung sinabi ni attorney, merong
Republicans.
maliit na section ng Republicans ay pwedeng magbago yung position nila pag convicted. Ibig sabihin, naniniwala sila sa justice system ng Amerika kahit sila ay Trump.
Oo,
no?
they don't want a felon, a convicted felon.
Yes. Halimbawa,
To-
yung banat ni
vote
Trump,
into the
after ng
presidency.
conviction niya, binanatan niya yung justice system
Okay.
ng US. For some, medyo, gray area. Baka magalit yung iba. Yung kanyang base, yung kanya na, magrarally yan, no, yung kanya na. Pero ang target mo kasi ay yung swing eh. Di ba? Ang target mo yung mga urban at saka urban.
The soft votes.
Yes, yun ang target mo.
That you could lose, kumbaga ganon.
Yes, yun yung, lalo na pag binanata mo yung justice system ng iyong bansa, At the same time, gagamitin mo yung justice system para mag-appeal, baka magkaroon ng contradiction dun sa swing votes na yon.
Okay.
Bagamat significant yung lamang niya kay Biden.
So it's gonna
next
hard-
survey, makikita natin yan.
Yes. So it's gonna harden the core Trump supporters.
Yes.
Okay? Magrarally.
Yes.
Pero he could lose the soft votes.
Yes, the swing votes.
Okay. Okay, attorney, I wonder if you want to jump into that analysis?
Yes, I agree. Actually, the swing votes always made the votes to make a candidate win in the U.S. presidential elections. No? Lalo na kung dikit ang laban, yung swing votes, yung mga fence-sitters, yung mga hindi active na Democrat or Republican, sila yung target na makuha ng parehong grupo. At this conviction might work against Trump for the fence-sitters.
Okay, thank you for joining the StoryCon.
Thank,
Lawyer Attorney Buko de la Cruz.
Thank you,
Maraming salamat
Attorney.
po.
thank you, Attorney.
Maraming salamat po.
This is StoryCon on One News. We just need to take a quick break, but we will be right back. This is the Story Conference Group or the StoryCon Group.
Okay na.
We've got the developing news and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Patrick Paez with Ami Pamintuan and Ronald Llamas. Also joining us is Richard Haydarian, geopolitical analyst and our host in One News's Long Conversations. Richard!
Pleasure,
Okay, we're
finally.
still
Good to
talking about
see
the
you
biggest
guys.
Story. We're still talking about the biggest story in the United States today and also here in the Philippines. So people are talking about the Trump conviction. Your thoughts, Richard?
Well, I mean, first of all, I've been trying to listen to different, even legal standpoint on this, and it looks like the jury's still out in a sense that there are many people who are even doubt whether he'll even serve, in a detention center. It's very possible that the judge, based on some of his initial statements, acknowledging that we're dealing with the ex-president who could be the future president, we could look at a situation of house arrest, things that we saw in the Philippines, right? When people as powerful as presidents or ex-presidents are facing justice, sometimes incarceration is not necessarily what the judge handles. So by, I think, July, we're going to know, just 5 days before Trump's official nomination as the Republican Party's nominee for the presidency. We'll know exactly what the judge is going to hand down, but I think the jury's still out. A lot of legal analysts cannot agree on whether we're going to go into incarceration or not. Because statistically speaking, I think based on some studies, they look at 10,000 cases in Manhattan throughout the past 10 years. Vast majority of cases similar to Trump ended up in some sort of detention, probably around a year or lower, but it's very, very likely that he will not serve any term in jail, not to mention there's the appeal option, right, which could kick this can down the road. Where I think this will be very important is that it completely changes the narrative. Because now the narrative is not, who has the better vision for the country. The narrative is whether you trust in America's justice system and whether you're okay with a convicted criminal serving as your president or not. So for a very long time, all sorts of allegations have been thrown at Donald Trump. There's always an qualifier, caveat, allege this, allege that. Now, he is a convicted criminal, right, for a felony, at least in this case. And there are other cases that we have to look at. So even if he appeals it and kicks the can down the road, the question is, will the Biden administration's campaign be aggressive and effective enough to convince some of the Republicans and convince some of the independents not to vote for Trump in these elections, in spite of their dissatisfaction in Biden? As you know, guys, I've been back and forth to the United States over the past month or so, from South Carolina to San Francisco, red states, purple states, Georgia, blue states. I talk to people, whether it's Uber drivers, it's professors, it's retirees. The level of enthusiasm for Biden is very, very low. And that's the reason why I think the Biden campaign should be very worried when they look at their numbers in battleground states, among others. But now there is an opportunity for the Biden campaign to recast the whole conversation as, do you want a convicted criminal as your president? Despite, we can have a long debate about the framers of the Constitution and how they make it easy for even someone from probably jail to serve as the president of the United States or a convicted criminal. But the point is, are you okay with a convicted criminal as your president or not? And this is important because if you look at Trump's statement after the conviction came out, he was casting doubt and attacking the judge. He was attacking the whole system. So you're going to see essentially Trump on steroids if he comes back to power next year. So you may hate Biden. You may think he has been extremely inefficient. You may think he's too old. Maybe you think he's not handling the inflation well. But you're ready for a vengeance mode Trump, which is exponentially more aggressive and potentially more authoritarian than first Trump that we saw from 2016. So this is now going to be the narrative that the Biden campaign is going to pump prime. There was alleged all this time. Now it's no longer that case.
Richard, before we continue, we'd like to play a reaction from former President Trump on tape. Can we hear it now?
Hey, we're not going to jail. This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win.
If we should look at this other than a political move, I'll throw in that contrarian question. Because conviction on hush money, di ba? I mean,
Well, dalawa kasi
is it
yung
anything other than that, a political
Yeah,
move?
dalawa yung importante sa kanina, yung pinakita mong speech ni Trump, no? Una ay binabanatan niya yung justice system
Yeah.
sa US. Na binanatan niya yung judge, yung prosecutor, na corrupt daw, etc., etc. Pero hindi niya binanatan yung jury. Yung jury kasi ang nag-convict sa kanya, a jury of his peers. Yan yung sinasabi sa Amerika. Hindi niya binanatan
Interesting
yun.
point there.
Dahil kasama yung kanyang mga abogado sa pumili ng jury. So hindi niya binabanatan yun. Ikalawa, binabanatan niya yung location. Mga 5-6% daw sila doon sa lugar na yon. Which means, pinopoliticize niya yung justice system na mahalaga kung nasaan ka kakasuhan. No? Kung ikaw ay nasa Alabama, kung ikaw ay nasa New York, or nasa Florida. Medyo kanyon, delikado yun. Dahil hinahatulan mo na yung sistema sa Amerika na kinakailangan nandun ka dun sa friendly state para ikaw ay hindi makonvict, no? At panghuli, yung tanong mo, ito ay aakyat sa maraming level eh. Kaya nga nung sinasabi ni Richard kanina, yung kanyang analysis,
Nasa
no?
interview po ako.
Tatlong categories kasi ito. Yung isa yung legal, na pinapaliwanag ni Richard. Yung isa yung political, na nag-touch on din siya. At ikatlo, ito yung hinihintay ng mundo, yung geopolitical. Kung sakaling mag-survive siya rito, legally, politically, at manalo siya sa November, yun yung pinapanood ng buong mundo ngayon. Especially dito sa region natin. Magkakaroon ba ng change sa foreign policy? Magkakaroon ba ng change sa, halimbawa, sa Europe? Sinasabi ni Trump dati, nung presidente siya, iiwan namin ng NATO kung hindi sila mag-i-scale up sa defense spending.
Okay, but is it unfair for Trump to see this conviction as political?
Well, sabi ko nga, it's a jury of his peers. Kasama sila sa pumili. Yung jury ang nag-convict sa kanya, not the judge. Yung judge ang magsa-sentence. Yung prosecutor, binoboto ang prosecutor sa US, hindi katulad sa atin.
Which is political too, if it's voted, right?
Yes. At yung prosecutor ang nag-raise nung kaso na dapat i-hear sa ganitong klaseng lugar. No? Yun yung, pero maraming appeals level yan. Kaya nga sabi nung ating abogado kanina, medyo tatagal yan. At aakyat pa yan sa dulo, sa Supreme Court, na very
But the
conservative.
decision for this case to go
Pero-
on trial is up to the prosecutor. Okay, the jury, maybe given another time, maybe would probably come up with the same conviction. In all probability.
Yeah, but
is
Patrick,
the-
it's not the
timing.
DOJ who handed down the conviction. It's not the
Yeah.
DOJ involved here. This is a very independent judiciary involved here. So I think we should not buy into the Trump team. I slightly disagree actually with Ronald in the sense that, if I'm not mistaken, the legal team of Trump, maybe this is another case, they were trying to argue that his case is being heard in a democratic majority state is not a valid thing. So it's not maybe not there in that press conference per se, or maybe not in this case, but his legal team has been trying to play that game that if his cases are heard in democratic majority states, meaning there's going to be inherently a structural bias against him. So his team is doing everything. They're throwing the kitchen sink, everything to question the judicial system. Kaya nga sabi ko, this Trump will be different from the first Trump. He's angry. There's nothing fun about him. I mean, for some of us who watched him during his first run, he was funny sometimes. Of course, sometimes not so funny. But this time, this is a very angry, vengeful
Richard,
Trump. And that's why there are
Pero
huge implications.
Richard, yung mga nuancing na yan,
Ramification. But what I'd like to know, Richard, is do you think that this case, the prosecutor filing this case, is purely coincidental? There's no political timing involved in it.
Well, I mean, look at who are the people who are involved here, right? I mean, this case has been going on for quite some time. We're talking about people implicating me, including people who were inside his team. I'm talking about his lawyer, for instance, etc. Obviously, you can always say that it happened while Biden is in power. But I think it's another thing to say that the Biden administration has been manipulating the entire judicial system. Then you're playing into the conspiratorial game of the Trump administration. That is my argument. But you're right. As far as optics is concerned, people are going to say there's no coincidence that this case has gone in this particular direction. Kaya nga sabi ko, it's also possible that the judge, taking into consideration the whole politics here, may not give him even a detention or kind of incarcerative punishment here and go for something softer in that regard. So let's see also what happens in the coming months. As far as the Supreme Court is concerned, I think things are in Trump's favor, and maybe it's possible that Trump may not even face a hearing at all, and the case could be dismissed against him as far as the insurrection case is concerned. So the whole American judicial system right now is also on the ballot, right? A belief in the American justice system is now
Pero
also
ako,
on the ballot.
Richard, isa lang ang tanong ko, Richard Is it plus or minus for Trump? Kasi he has a very solid base. And he is actually saying, I'm gonna use this for my campaign.
Well,
and
the-
I think
the
nagre-resonate
base
yung
is as
sinasabi
solid
niya
as it-
na pinapersecute daw siya
Amy, the
Hindi,
base is-
actually,
the base is as solid as it can
his
get,
numbers are
right?
still high.
Yeah.
His numbers are still high. At saka dinadagdag niya ngayon, yan, kinonvict ako. Persecuted ako I'm just asking you, anong tingin mo? Is
Yeah.
it plus or minus for him na nangyari to?
It all goes down to soft Republicans, skeptical Republicans, those who voted for alternative candidates. I mean, I was in South Carolina talking to people who had Haley as their favorite. Would these people now shift to Trump or have even more reason not voting for Trump, even though they also don't like the Democrats and all the woke stuff, right? So that's the question. The base is as solid as it can get. That's why Trump's media company suddenly is worth billions of
Kaya nga.
dollars. So I don't think that's the question. The question is he gonna win over more independents and soft Republican voters? I think it's too early to say. I mean, he has to come up with a very convincing narrative to prove to these people that he's really a victim here, that this is a persecution case, right? Kaya nga, it's very important to see how the Biden administration also approaches this in terms of showing, hey, we're not involved here. This is not a DOJ conspiracy. This is not a deep state conspiracy.
Richard, but I think we can't ignore the context in which this conviction is happening. As it is, you don't need a conspiracy. America is very polarized at this point. You don't need a Biden administration guy talking to a judge to try to draw hidden lines here and there. But the fact is that American society is very divided now, and there you have it.
Patrick, the hush money case was during Trump administration himself, right? I mean, we've been hearing about this since what, 2016? 2017?
Exactly.
It's not like they started 2020 when Biden became the president, right? The insurrection case, well, everyone saw what happened here. Again, it would be ridiculous to claim it on Biden. But I see where you're coming from. There's enough there to make a conspiracy theory, which is why I'm worried about Trump.
For conspiracy, I'm arguing, trying to point out the context in which this conviction has happened. That every American, at least every American, has a strong position when it comes to Trump. And you do this conviction at this point in time, or pursue this case at this point in time. It's bound to be. How can it not be political?
Pero, Patrick, yung mga...
Political on the part of an individual,
Yeah.
not necessarily political on the part of an administration.
Yung hard Trump at saka yung hard Democrats, hindi mo na mababago yun.
Right.
Kaya ang target dito ay yung binabanggit ni Richard na soft.
Meron pa ba, Ronald, na soft at this point?
Yeah. Sa Amerika meron. No? At kailangan kasi ipaliwanag to sa context na hindi bago tong kaso. Maraming kaso even before Trump became president, while he was president, at after siya naging president. Marami sa mga kaso na yan ay na-delay or na naitapon sa korte dahil nga magagaling yung mga abogado niya.
I'm not trying to make a connection between the conviction and the
No,
administration. Kasi parang hindi naman Pilipinas siya na alam mo na predictable yan. Kung sino nakaupo, you can draw hidden lines to
pero
a court
makikita
decision.
natin yung political context sa context ng iba pang mga kaso niya na nangyari, na hindi natuloy, no? Ito yung nag-prosper. At
Pero Ronald, yun na nga hindi ba? Ang dami-daming kaso, Ronald.
hindi maliit na bagay yung falsification of documents.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah.
Lalo na yung nag-testing yung dati niyang abogado. No, yun
Pero
yung-
Ronald, ngayon na nga sinasabi ko, despite all those cases, matagal na lang running tong mga cases na to Ang dami-dami na but look at his numbers.
Yeah.
Ino-overstate niya si Biden. Ang tagal-tagal na neto mo nagpe-percolate tong issue na to.
But
Yes,
Amy,
pero
you have to
iba-
also look at the
kasi
fact that
ang
Trump is not doing very well.
Convicted felon ka eh. Iba yung convicted felon ka, iba yung kinakasuhan ka, iba yung convicted felon ka.
Ronald,
Mismo
don't
para
forget,
sa part of Republicans.
Ronald, if you look at the primaries, the
Yeah.
participation rate was not very high for Trump. It's true that he defeated the other side, but a significant amount of Republicans were staying it out compared to the previous years. No, so there's also a number of Republicans also are having enthusiasm problem with him. That's why you have the rise of Kennedy Jr. and third-party candidates. So one thing we didn't talk about at all is how could third-party candidates take advantage of this? Because Kennedy can easily come in here and say, okay, Biden, okay, fine, you know what's the deal? Now this other guy, he's a convicted criminal. I am your alternative. I am the true alternative. So one thing that could happen here is that you may strengthen the third-party candidates and create some significant spoiler effect.
RFK is running as a Democrat, Richard.
No, he's running as an independent. No, he's running as an independent. And the debate right now is he going to take away more from Biden or take away more from the Trump side? Initially, the Biden people were more worried about him, and there were legal efforts to deny him to be on the ballot in some of the battleground states. But now it looks like the Trump team is more worried that he could steal away from him. And I think this conviction could be important in the sense that Kennedy can come in here and say, you want to go for me because I'm really against both of these guys. Both of them are establishment. Both of them are compromised. This guy is even a proven criminal, right? So this whole game of Biden. Oh, what about this? What about that? So that's where I think the third party candidate could actually take advantage of this situation. That's what I'm gonna watch out. The last time we had Ralph Nader really spoiling the elections for Democrats, it was just a few percentage points. It's very possible with Kenny Jr. we can go all the way to double-digit numbers. So this is completely unprecedented territories we're entering right now. I mean, if 10 years ago someone told you that a person as a convicted criminal could run and still win, we would say, wow, that's crazy. Now, it's also possible a third-party candidate could get double-digit numbers. That's something also that could be unprecedented and completely change the complexion of this race.
Richard, thank you very much for the very spirited conversation and discussion. Next time, mas maganda kung dito tayo lahat sa studio.
Parang ayoko yata, baka mag-ano na kami. No, I'm just kidding. No, that was great. Thank you. Sorry, Amy and Ronald, if I cut in sometimes.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Talk to you guys soon.
Okay,
Salamat guys. Pasensya na medyo na delay yung pagpasok ko. Let's talk soon guys. Mamayang gabi. God bless.